right, so welcome to the deep dive, everybody.
Yep.
You're here because you want to understand complex topics really fast and thoroughly. And today, we're tackling a big one.
Yeah.
You are going to be looking at human evolution.
Absolutely.
So you shared from apes to AI, the incredible journey of human evolution with us, and we're going to use that as our starting point for a trip back millions of years.
Yeah.
We're going to trace our lineage, from those early primates to us to modern humans.
Yeah.
And our goal here is to pull out like the coolest, the most insightful moments from this story of adaptation and ingenuity.
I
So
love it.
ready to dive deep.
I am so ready. Let's go.
Okay, so let's unpack this right at the beginning. The text points to a split, between us and chimpanzees about 6 to 7 million years ago.
Right.
And it introduces Sahelanthropus judensis as one of the very first hominins.
Yeah.
So what's the big takeaway from this really early period?
I think what's so fascinating is that even way back then, we start to see signs of a really monumental shift bipedalism. Now, while the evidence for Sahelanthropus consistently walking upright isn't like 100% complete,
Right.
certain features of its skull and teeth suggest a departure from four-legged apes.
Okay.
And that kind of subtly points to the very first steps towards a really fundamental change in how our ancestors interacted with the world.
Okay, so walking on two legs,
Yeah.
it seems like so simple, right?
Yeah.
But the text brings up a couple of main reasons why this might have evolved. Seeing over tall grass, freeing up the hands.
Right.
But was it really just like one or two things?
Probably not. It's almost certainly like a bunch of pressures,
Yeah.
Maybe we haven't even discovered yet.
Right.
But let's think bigger picture for a second.
Yeah.
What are the huge implications of having your hands free?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't just about peeking over grass. It was about opening up all these possibilities.
Right.
Now, free hands can carry food and water, even babies, over longer distances.
Yeah.
That fundamentally changes, nomadic patterns and social structures. It even lays the groundwork millions of years later for the intricate, manipulation that you need for tools.
Wow.
So this wasn't just, standing up straight. This was like a domino effect, setting off all these evolutionary changes.
That makes just standing up straight sound revolutionary.
It really was.
Okay, so legs before brain power.
Yeah, yeah.
Then we move on to the Australopithecines.
Yeah.
And of course, you have the famous Lucy.
Lucy.
They were clearly better at walking upright,
Yeah.
but their brains were still pretty small.
Yeah.
So what's the big takeaway from this stage of evolution?
What's interesting about the Australopithecines is that bipedalism was like their main way of getting around.
Yeah.
Like their skeletons show that, but the fact that their brains were still kind of like modern apes tells us something important.
Okay.
Walking upright didn't instantly mean huge brains.
Right.
It means that these evolutionary changes didn't have to happen all at once.
Okay.
One basic adaptation bipedalism set the stage for others way later.
So, so legs and then later brains.
Yeah.
Then the text points to a huge turning point. About 2.6 million years ago, stone tools appear.
Right.
And now we're talking about Homo habilis, the handyman.
Yeah.
This feels like a big step forward.
Absolutely. Developing stone tools is a huge moment.
Yeah.
What's interesting is it shows this big cognitive leap. You can recognize a need, come up with a solution, find the materials, and actually shape them into a tool for a specific purpose.
Wow.
And Homo habilis, the first of our genus Homo, is directly linked to this incredible innovation.
Okay, and the text suggests a link between using these tools and brain growth.
Right.
Saying that more efficient food processing was key.
Yes.
Can you unpack that connection a little bit?
Sure. The idea is that by using tools to, process food, butcher animals, or prepare plants,
Right.
early humans suddenly had access to more calories and nutrients, easier to digest. This energy could then help support a bigger, more complex brain.
I see.
It was like a cycle. Better tools, better food energy for brain growth, which led to even better tools. It wasn't just easier eating. It seems like it kickstarted this feedback loop of brain power and ingenuity.
So here's where things get really interesting. We jump to about 1.9 million years ago with Homo erectus.
Homo erectus.
And the text says they were more like us in height, brain size, and strength.
Right.
But their biggest accomplishment was leaving Africa, right?
Exactly. Homo erectus marks a major, what we call evolutionary radiation, a big time for diversification and expansion.
Okay.
Bigger brains and stronger bodies probably made them better at handling different environments.
Yeah.
But the most incredible thing is they were the first hominins to migrate out of Africa on a huge scale.
Wow.
They spread to Asia, maybe parts of Europe. This wasn't a small move.
Right.
This was a big shift in how we interacted with the planet. It shows this incredible adaptability and a drive to explore a trait that we still have today.
And the text highlights another huge development from this time controlling fire.
Oh, yeah.
That must have been a game changer.
Controlling fire is like one of the most important technologies in human history. Like the text said, it gave warmth and protection, especially as Homo erectus went to colder places.
Yeah.
But the impact on cooking is huge.
Right.
It makes food easier to digest, releases more calories.
Yeah.
This better nutrition could have been a big reason for the brain size increase in Homo erectus.
I see.
So that thing where we're just fascinated by fire,
Yeah.
deeply rooted in evolution.
So Homo erectus spreads across the globe. They figure out fire. Then we meet our cousins, the Neanderthals.
The Neanderthals.
They were adapted to the cold, even had bigger brains than early Homo sapiens.
Yep.
But they disappear about 40,000 years ago, right when our species takes off.
Yeah.
What happened? This seems like a big mystery.
It's a fascinating and still kind of mysterious time.
Yeah.
It's important to remember that Neanderthals were successful and really well adapted for hundreds of thousands of years.
Okay.
Their decline as Homo sapiens spreads really strongly suggests that some kind of interaction or competition made us dominant. The text mentions better social skills, more innovation, a better ability to adapt.
Yeah.
Those all point to advantages we might have had in
Yeah.
a world that was changing.
And the text says that a lot of people of European or Asian descent have Neanderthal DNA.
Right.
That's a direct link.
Yeah.
It means it wasn't just us replacing them.
Yeah.
There was interbreeding.
Right.
What does that tell us about us and them?
Well, the genetics are pretty clear. There was definitely gene flow between us.
Yeah.
It's more complicated than just us replacing them.
Right.
It means that even though we're the only hominin left, there were times we interacted even biologically.
Okay.
It raises interesting questions about, were there really clear lines between the groups?
Right.
And what were those encounters like?
Interesting. Okay, so Neanderthals are gone, and now we're focused on Homo sapiens.
Right.
And what the text calls the cognitive revolution about 70,000 years ago.
The big one.
This sounds like a key moment,
Yeah.
a turning point into the humans we are today. Abstract thought, complex communication.
Absolutely. The cognitive revolution is a huge change in what our brains could do.
Yeah.
What's really cool is complex language develops the ability to communicate ideas about things that aren't right there.
Yeah.
Like the past, the future, things we imagine.
Right.
This probably leads to the explosion of art like cave paintings and more complex social structures.
So the text highlights the power of stories and myths in building bigger, more organized societies.
Yeah.
How important was that for us to develop and cooperate on a larger scale?
It was the key. Shared stories and beliefs create a strong sense of unity. They let huge groups of people who aren't related cooperate and work toward goals together.
Right.
Think about how this unique human skill to create and believe in stories,
Right.
religion, politics, even company brands,
Yeah.
has changed history. It's a defining thing about Homo sapiens
I see.
that let us build the complicated societies we live in today.
So it's like that ability to create shared realities was our superpower.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
fast.
Okay. And from there, the text touches on the agricultural revolution, civilizations, and then the super fast technological advances that bring us to now,
Yeah.
space exploration, modern medicine, and yes, even these deep dives.
Yeah.
It's incredible how quickly things changed.
It really is this huge increase in the speed of change.
Yeah.
If we look at the big picture, everything since the cognitive revolution has mostly been driven by our better ability to learn and pass on knowledge.
Okay.
Agriculture let us settle down specialized labor, which led to more innovation.
Yeah.
And then science and technology in recent centuries have built on that knowledge faster than ever before.
So to wrap it all up, this journey from those first steps toward walking to complex language and reaching for the stars.
Yeah.
It's a story about adapting, constantly innovating, and overcoming huge challenges, just like the text says.
Exactly. And remember, evolution didn't stop with us.
Right.
We're still adapting biologically and culturally to the world around us.
Yeah.
The challenges we have today, the environment, technology, all that will shape the future of our species.
That's a really important point. So as we end this deep dive into human evolution, it makes you wonder,
Yeah.
given everything we talked about, our drive to invent our social structures, our ability to adapt,
Right.
what do you see happening next? Something to ponder.
Definitely. What new adaptations will we see?
Yeah.
How will technology change what it means to be human?
Right.
Those are the big questions. Exploring our past makes us ask about our future.